All right. Well, I finally saw it. And by finally, I mean just last night. First opportunity I got. Drug the wife out to see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, the latest installment in the ever growing, never ending Marvel franchise. This stars, well, first, it's directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, I think. And it stars Simu Liu, I think I said that right, as the lead Shang-Chi, and then Aquafina of YouTube fame. I guess Marvel recruits YouTubers now. Not bad. Not bad at all. And they were all great. The whole thing was great. I don't really know anything about Shang-Chi. Never read the comics. Didn't know anything about his whole story until the trailers, and then even then you had to see the movie. And so my expectations were low, to say the least. Of course, though, in the back of my head, knowing that it's Marvel, and Marvel has one of the best legacies at this point, one of the best reputations for taking weirdos, or even not weirdos necessarily. I was referencing Guardians of the Galaxy there, but just people you may not know anything about, or stories you know nothing about, and blowing your mind and making it this awesome spectacle to watch. And that was exactly the case with this. So not actually real low expectations, but I just didn't know what to expect. But I knew in the back of my head, if it's Marvel, it's probably going to be pretty dang good. And it was very dang good. And I am going to get into spoilers. I have no way to talk about movies without spoilers. That's just not in my DNA. So brace yourself for that. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it. So first of all, everyone did really, really good in their roles. Obviously, the guy carrying the whole thing as Shang-Chi was perfect. Instantly likable. You have right off the bat showing that they're just kind of him and his friend, played by Aquafina, of YouTube fame. I don't know if I mentioned that. And they are just working these dead-end jobs. They are doing karaoke at bars at night, and everyone kind of around them, they have their successful friends, and they just are getting by and just having fun, really, and not really knowing what to do with life necessarily, but just enjoying it, enjoying each other's company and all that. Something that I, for sure, can relate to, and I think most can. And then all of a sudden, a turn of events changes everything, and we learn about the past and all that. You find out that Shang-Chi's dad has these 10 rings that make him immortal, apparently. So he's lived for, I think, 1,000 years, they said. Shang-Chi basically was trained to be an assassin as a kid by his more or less evil dad. It looks like he had a redemptive kind of a bit there where he found his true love and had the kids and blah, 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 all that boring stuff. But then through a series of events, his past catches up with him. His wife dies, and Shang-Chi is from then on trained, or no, I think it was before that. He was trained to become an assassin, and then you find out through a series of events he didn't want that life, so he runs away from home. But now it is time to bring the family back, both Shang-Chi and his sister, to recruit to find the dead mom, who Shang-Chi's dad, who I can't remember what his name was in the movie, but the guy who has the 10 rings believes he's hearing his dead wife's voice, and they need to free her from the imprisonment, which I guess is her mystical hometown of the name, I believe. Oh, I'm so bad with all these names. Taleo or something like that. This mystical land where she's from. Come to find out, that is not the case. It is like these soul suckers that are back there, and they are manipulating with Shang-Chi's dad's mind to get him to come and free them so they can take over the universe, as is with Marvel villains and fashions to take over the universe. So obviously Shang-Chi and his sister don't get necessarily on board by the end of it. They are convinced by their dead mom's aunt and that whole village of the mystical town they go to that they need to stop their dad in order to save the universe. Of course, Marvel. So I don't need to go through the entire, I kind of just did go through the whole movie bit by bit, but that's not what I meant to do. I was just summarizing, I guess, for my own sake, I suppose. But what I want to touch on is the action was the thing that stood out to me. In the trailer, it shows a little bit of that bus scene, and that is just the tip of the iceberg because that whole scene goes on for quite a while. And I read up that the director of this movie, I guess, used to direct old Jackie Chan movies, and so he definitely knows how to film great action. It was amazing, and even people like my wife, she could care less. Naomi could care absolutely less about action, but I think even she could appreciate there's like hardly any cuts, which is so rare for Marvel. That's all Marvel does is this choppy stuff that just throw the stunt people in there. You can't even tell what's going on. But this was such well done action. I mean, you can tell half the time it's actually the actors, not stunt doubles, which means they had to do actual real training to do these things. And so the bus scene alone, just this amazing, just karate or kung fu or whatever the heck it is, that's just so well filmed, hardly any cuts, and it just is the thing where you can just feel what's going on. You know, you can see what's going on, but it's so well done that you can just feel every punch, feel every kick, every jump, everything. It was just amazing. And then when I thought that was the best it could be, they get to this scene where they're outside of a building on these construction beam platform scaffolding, maybe kind of a thing that goes up the entire building, and this huge fight breaks out on the outside of the building on all these scaffoldings that are held up by bamboo and planks. And oh my goodness, it was absolutely amazing. I still can't stop thinking about it because I'm that nerdy. But the action was just, again, so well done. The camera just flows. It never, hardly ever cuts except for when it absolutely has to. And you can see everything that's going on, and they take advantage of all the bars and everything everywhere that they can swing and do all these cool moves and go on different levels and come back up levels and fighting different guys, throwing them off and then swinging around on the outside but swinging back, bamboo breaking down and swinging to 5 levels, whatever the heck is going on. It's absolutely amazing. You can tell it was so well thought out and executed. Something where I was a little worried because I try to avoid too many spoilers and, well, all spoilers, but too many reviews because they do talk about what they like and don't like. And they said the action kind of fell flat towards the end. So I was kind of getting ready for that. But in my opinion, I think it still stood strong. They said that it would turn into big CGI fight at the end. And it does what with all the mystical creatures that are apparent in the end. But the actual fighting, yes, there's CGI utensils, weapons that are in play. But in my opinion, the fighting and the well-done cinematography of it and the choreography still stays just as strong. Now there's just these added elements of CGI, but because it's Marvel, we all know they have the best CGI in the business. I think that it's just as entertaining, just as exciting, just as riveting, just as well done. I think it was an awesome way to end it with as far as action is concerned. Man, I've talked a lot about action. So let's move on to some other stuff here. No one else may care as much as me about this, but Ben Kingsley coming back, absolutely amazing. Marvel's so good like that. They take these random things, these random little plot threads, or sometimes bigger plot threads, and then they bring them back like freaking 8 years later or whatever it's been, and it is referenced again, and everyone in the audience is like, oh, and we remember. And they feel like they do that, have done that on several occasions, and this just adds to the list, adds to the roster, especially those that, and I know so many people hated Ben Kingsley in Iron Man 3 as the Mandarin. They were let down because they thought it would be a real villain, and he was just an actor and it was played off for laughs, and it still definitely is played off for laughs. But I think the inclusion of him and then finding out that the real Mandarin is Shang-Chi's dad and how that all ties together, again, just makes it all worth it, makes it all pay off 8 years later, however long it's been since Iron Man 3. And I think even the haters of that in Iron Man 3 will come around seeing this and be like, okay, it was worth it to some degree. And he's in it for quite a bit. I was surprised. I thought maybe it'd just be a little cameo at first, but his mystical creature Maurice appears, and he's in it for pretty much till the end at that point. And I thought it was great. Everything he said, I laughed at. Everything Aquafina said, as a matter of fact, was pretty funny. She was really the comic relief of the whole thing, which makes sense. She's a YouTuber. She started on YouTube. I got to remember to mention that. So the comic relief, which is expected in Marvel, again, still works very well, particularly in the first in-credit scene, which I think I can get to now, where they are discussing that the rings are from, well, no one knows where they're from. And that's, I guess, where they're going to go moving forward. And whatever the next Shang-Chi movie is, or wherever he appears next, a new Avengers movie or whatever, I have no idea. But they find out they have no idea where the rings are from. Wong has no idea. They bring in Captain Marvel, and she has no idea. And they bring in Bruce Banner, and this is one of my biggest questions and stumpers of the whole thing. How is he not the Hulk anymore, or Professor Hulk? Why would they just throw that in there and not explain it? I imagine it's going to be explained in like the Disney Plus show She-Hulk, or maybe in whatever the next Marvel movie is, The Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home. I have no idea. But I can't be alone. That is just so strange that all of a sudden he's back to normal Bruce Banner, and he still has the gimp arm from Endgame, which that was a nice little nod there, continuity, that whatever form he is, Hulk or Bruce Banner or in between, his arm is forever damaged by the Infinity Stones. So I like that. But why the heck isn't he Hulk anymore? No idea. Answer in the comments. So that was the biggest question I have going forward, is obviously, and I think everyone has this at the end of every single Marvel movie, what's next? But this specifically, well, I have no idea where it's going to go next. I imagine maybe Doctor Strange 2, since they're now in the Sanctum Sanctorum with Wong, and they're trying to figure out, he basically said, this is your next big mission, I guess, to find out where the 10 rings came from. So I guess that's what is going to be the next story thread to follow. But all of that is irrelevant because it pays off to the beginning of the movie, where they just karaoke when they should know they have the early shift, should get some sleep. And Wong says, you should be responsible, get some sleep, long journey ahead. Cuts to them, all three of them, karaokeing Hotel California, which Aquafina's character said was the song she sang to save Shang-Chi in high school from the bully or whatever, to confuse him. And so all of that was just a great, hilarious payoff, and everyone in the movie theater clapped at that moment. It was just the best ending. So that was awesome. No idea where they're going forward. Whoever does. But very excited to see what happens next with Shang-Chi. Go see it if you haven't. It's great. I'm going to go ahead and feel a 8.2 out of 10. Very, very great. I hope you have low expectations too, because that is the best thing ever. Low expectations, go into a movie, it's great, but we all know it's going to be great to some degree because it's Marvel. Anyways, go see it. 8.2 out of 10. Maurice.